So let's continue with complex 3. Okay, now from complex 1 and from complex 2, the electrons are donated to complex 3 and this causes the regeneration of the oxidized coenzyme Q. Okay, coenzyme Q is oxidized. Okay, there is generation of oxidized coenzyme Q. Why? Because electrons from complex 1 and complex 2 are donated to the complex 3. Now this causes the release of 2 protons in the intermembrane space, and because of this there is generation of proton gradient. Okay, so there is flow of electrons and this flow of electrons is developing proton gradient. Okay, that's the whole point. Now within complex 3, the released electrons are transferred to the iron sulfur center, and after that they are transferred to 2 B types of cytochromes or cytochrome C1. And from here, the 2 electrons are finally transferred to the 2 molecules of oxidized cytochrome C. So electron goes to the iron sulfur center, then to B types of cytochromes or cytochrome C1, and then to the oxidized cytochrome C. This is how the flow of electron is taking place within the complex 3. Now 2 additional protons are translocated from the mitochondrial matrix across the inner mitochondrial membrane for each pair of electron that is transferred. Okay, for each pair of electron there is translocation of 2 additional protons. Okay, so for transfer of protons there is involvement of proton motive Q cycle. Now the cytochromes are the heme proteins which have distinctive visible light spectra. Now the major respiratory cytochromes are classified as cytochrome B, cytochrome C and cytochrome A, and this classification is based on the wavelength of the spectral absorption peaks. Okay, on the basis of the wavelength of spectral absorption peaks, these major respiratory cytochromes are classified as cytochrome B, cytochrome C and cytochrome A. Now within each class of the cytochrome, the cytochromes are then distinguished by smaller spectral differences. Okay, these are the major classification. Now in each class there are certain cytochromes. That cytochromes are also distinguished, and they are distinguished on the basis of smaller spectral differences. Now in respiratory electron carriers there are 2 B types of cytochrome. Okay, that are B566 and B62. Okay, these are the 2 B type cytochromes present in the respiratory electron carrier. And also there are 2 C types of cytochrome, that are C and C1, and also 2 A type of cytochromes A and A3. Okay, so 2 B type, 2 C type and 2 A type cytochromes are there in your respiratory electron carriers. Now the heme prosthetic groups of A and B cytochromes are tightly bound but not covalently bound to the associated proteins. Okay, the bonding between the heme prosthetic groups and the associated protein is tight, but it is not covalent. Okay, in case of A and B cytochromes, whereas the heme groups of C type of cytochromes is covalently attached through cis residues. Okay, so that's the difference between cytochrome C and A and B. Now this C type of cytochrome, cytochrome C, is present in all aerobic organisms. Okay, in all aerobic organisms the cytochrome C is there. Now this cytochrome C is the peripheral protein of the inner mitochondrial membrane, and this cytochrome C binds via electrostatic interactions to the acidic phospholipids which are present in the intermembrane space. Okay, in the intermembrane space of mitochondria there are acidic phospholipids, and to those acidic phospholipids this cytochrome C binds via electrostatic interactions. Now this cytochrome C contains a single polypeptide chain which is made up of 104 amino acid residues covalently bound with the heme group. Okay, there is a single polypeptide chain in the cytochrome C, and that single polypeptide chain is made up of 104 amino acid residues. Now the sequence homology of cytochrome C within species is a measure of evolutionary distances that separates species. Okay, one species is separated from the other species via evolutionary distances, which is measured by the sequence homology of cytochrome C. Okay, so that's the reason why cytochrome C is very important molecule in the living organisms. Now the mechanism of participation of ubiquinon in the electron transport process was proposed by Peter Michael, and now this mechanism is known as proton motive Q cycle. Okay, the mechanism of participation of ubiquinon in the electron transport process is known as proton motive Q cycle. Now these ubiquinons are hydrophobic and uncharged, and that is the reason why they are able to migrate along the hydrophobic core of the membrane. Okay, ubiquinons can migrate along the hydrophobic core of the membrane because they are hydrophobic and uncharged. Now the diffusion of one ubiquinol takes place to the QP binding site, and this QP binding site is adjacent to the iron sulfur protein at the P phase of mitochondrial membrane. Okay, so there is diffusion of one ubiquinol to the QP binding site. One electron is transferred to FES protein, the second electron is transferred to heme Bl, and then the two protons are released at the P phase. Okay, so this is how it is taking place. One electron is transferred to the FES protein, the second electron is transferred to heme Bl, and because of this, two protons then are released at the P phase. Then this FES protein transfers the electron along the chain to the cytochrome C1 and cytochrome oxidase. Okay, then electron goes from FES protein to cytochrome C1 and cytochrome oxidase. Electron moves from heme Bl to heme BH. Ubiquinon then binds to BH at QN site. Okay, BH have QN site, at that site the ubiquinon binds. And then the electrons from the reduced BH forms UB semiquinon at this QN site. Okay, there is formation of UB semiquinon at the QN site, and this is happening because of the electrons from the reduced BH. So ubiquinon is coming and ubiquinon is binding at QN site, and it is getting converted into UB semiquinon. Now a second ubiquinol molecule is oxidized at QP site, and then as the process described above, the second electron which is formed then causes the reduction of UB semiquinon to ubiquinol. Okay, there is a reduction of UB semiquinon to ubiquinol by the second electron which is formed. Now two protons are taken from the matrix and then they are released at the P phase. After this, the ubiquinol goes back to the pool, and that is how the Q cycle is completed. Now let's try to understand whatever we discussed above with the help of this diagram. Okay. So this is the first half of Q cycle, and this diagram is representing the second half of the Q cycle. Now this is the QP or Q0 site. Okay, this is the binding site where QH2 comes and binds. Now QH2 has 2 electrons. Okay, now 1 electron of the QH2 is donated to FeS, which then goes to cytochrome C1, and the other electron is transferred to this bound Q, which then gets converted into semi-ubiquinone. Okay, UB semi-quinone. Okay, so 2 electrons are released by this QH2. 1 electron goes to FeS and then to cytochrome C1, and the other electron goes to Bl, then to BH, then to the bound ubiquinone, which gets converted into UB semi-quinone. And because of this newly formed Q is then enters the Q pool. And when this QH2 gives 2 electrons, then this causes the 2 protons to go into the P phase, to go towards the cytoplasm. So this is what is happening in the first half of the Q cycle. Now in the second half of the cycle, a second QH2 gives up its electron. Okay, it gives its 1 electron to the cytochrome C1, and the other electron is taken up by this Q minus, and then this Q minus gets converted into QH2. Now this second electron transfer results in the uptake of 2 protons from the matrix. Okay, so in the second half of the Q cycle, there is uptake of 2 protons from the matrix. And then this Q and QH2 goes into the Q pool. Okay, this is QP site where the second QH2 is getting bind, and this is QN site where there is bound Q minus is there. Okay, so that is how the Q cycle operates in the mitochondria. Okay, so this is the first half of the Q cycle, and this is the second half of the Q cycle. So let's discuss about complex 4 now. Now this complex 4 or your cytochrome C oxidase catalyzes the transfer of electrons from the reduced cytochrome C to the molecular oxygen. Okay, there is transfer of electrons from the reduced cytochrome C to molecular oxygen, and that is catalyzed by complex 4 or cytochrome C oxidase. Now this complex 4 is made up of 13 subunits, 2 heme groups, 3 copper ions, which are arranged as 2 copper centers. Okay, so your complex 4 has 2 copper centers in it, which is made up of 3 copper ions, then 2 heme groups, and it is made up of 13 subunits. Now this complex 4 is made up of, has 2 heme groups, right? Now these 2 heme groups of complex 4 are named as heme A and heme A3. So heme A and heme A3 are the 2 heme groups present in the complex 4. Now this heme A and heme A3 have distinct properties. And why do they have distinct properties? Well, they are located in different environments with cytochrome C oxidase. That is the reason why heme A and A3 have distinct properties. Now the two copper centers of this complex 4 are designated as CuA and CuB. CuA and CuB are the two copper centers which are there in your complex 4. Now this CuA has two copper ions, okay, and these two copper ions of CuA are connected by two cysteine residues. Okay, two cysteine residues are connecting your two copper ions of CuA. And this CuB, okay, the second copper center is coordinated by three histidine residues. Okay, so there are two copper centers in your complex 4. These two copper center of the complex 4 are CuA, CuB. CuA has two copper ions which are connected by two cysteine residue, and CuB is coordinated by three histidine residues. That is all. Now this cytochrome C transport electrons to the complex 4 one at a time. Not like, obviously 2 electrons will not go, only 1 electron at a time will go. Yeah. Now in complex 4 what is happening is that electron is first transferred to CuA. From CuA it goes to cytochrome A, and from there it goes to CuB, and from CuB it then goes to oxygen, and the oxygen is the ultimate electron acceptor, and when oxygen accepts electron from CuB, there is formation of water because of that. Okay, so that is how the electron transport is occurring within cytochrome complex 4. Okay, electron is transferred first to CuA, then to cytochrome A, then to CuB, then finally to the oxygen. Now your complex 4 has heme A3 and CuB as we just saw. So heme A3 and CuB forms the active center where oxygen is reduced to water. Okay, when there is reduction of oxygen, there is formation of water at the active center, which is formed of heme A3 and CuB. So this is how your cytochrome oxidase looks like. Okay. So this is your P phase and this is your N phase. N phase means this is matrix of mitochondria, and this is the intermembrane space. As you know, mitochondria has outer membrane, inner membrane. So this P phase, this area here is the area between the outer membrane and inner membrane of the mitochondria. Okay, that we call it intermembrane space. And this is here at N phase, this is the matrix of mitochondria. Now this cytochrome C is a peripheral protein, and this cytochrome C binds to the P phase of the inner mitochondrial membrane, and then this cytochrome C transfer electrons, okay, through copper A, cytochrome A, and then cytochrome A3 CuB to the oxygen, which results in the formation of water. Okay, electron goes like this, from cytochrome C to CuA, then to cytochrome A, then to CuB cytochrome A3 complex, and from here it goes to oxygen, and there is formation of water inside your mitochondrial matrix. And because of this, okay, the energy which is released here is utilized to pump these protons from the matrix of mitochondria to the intermembrane space. Okay, protons are going from the matrix of mitochondria to the intermembrane space of the mitochondria because of this movement of electron in your cytochrome oxidase. So this is how your complex 4, okay, or cytochrome C oxidase catalyzes the transfer of electrons to the molecular oxygen, which results in proton pumping. Now, two electrons are sequentially released from the reduced cytochrome C, and then this 2 electrons reduces your molecular oxygen, which is represented as half O2, which means O, because 2 cancel each other. We represent this for conventions. And then after the reduction of this molecular oxygen, you get water. And when this is happening, simultaneously, 2 protons are also released from the mitochondrial matrix, and they go in the intermembrane space, and the proton gradient is created. That's how. Okay, so 2 electrons reduces your molecular oxygen, H2O is produced. Simultaneously, 2 protons are released from the mitochondrial matrix. Now this half O2, that is oxygen, is taking electrons and it is also taking protons. Okay, this H2O is made up of 2 electrons, 2 protons and 1 oxygen molecule. Okay, so oxygen was present there. Okay, 2 electron came from the reduced cytochrome. The question is this, from where these 2 protons came. Okay, these 2 protons were there in the matrix only. Okay, so from matrix, 2 proton combines with oxygen, and when they receive electron, that causes the formation of H2O. Okay, that is how water is produced in the mitochondrial matrix. Okay, the 2 electron came from reduced cytochrome C, the 2 proton came from the matrix. They were already there in the matrix, and oxygen also was there in the mitochondrial matrix. Now this we already said that each electron which is transferred from cytochrome C to the oxygen, because of this, 1 proton is transported from the matrix to the intermembrane space. Okay, it means that we saw, right? We saw this, right? So when 4 electrons, okay, are transported to 1 O2, and there are 4 protons in the matrix. Okay, this results in the formation of 2 H2O molecules. Okay, and this reaction causes 4 protons to go from the matrix to the intermembrane space. It is very simple, no need to get confused, and I am talking to myself. 4 electrons, when reduces 1 molecular oxygen, that is O2, okay, there is formation of 2 water molecules, and due to this reaction, 4 protons goes from the matrix to the intermembrane space. That is how it is taking place. Now this diagram is explaining the flow of electrons through the respiratory chain complexes. Okay, so in this specific diagram, there is complex 1, complex 3 and complex 4. Complex 2 is also there, but that we will discuss in the other diagram. Okay, now let's consider complex 1, complex 3 and complex 4. So as you know, at complex 1, NADH comes, gets converted into NAD+, releases its 2 electron. Okay, now this 2 electron goes to the coenzyme Q, and in this process 4 protons are transported from the mitochondrial matrix to the intermembrane space. Now from this coenzyme Q, then those 2 electron goes to the complex 3, and from that it goes to cytochrome C. Now in this process also 4 protons are pumped from the mitochondrial matrix to the intermembrane space, and from this cytochrome C, the 2 electron comes into the complex 4, where they reduce molecular oxygen and there is formation of water, and in this reaction 4 protons are again transported from the mitochondrial matrix into the intermembrane space. Okay, so this is how electron transport is happening from the NADH to the oxygen. Okay, so in the transport of the electron from NADH to oxygen, complex 1, complex 3 and complex 4 are involved, like this. So this is how it looks in case of FADH2. Okay, FADH2 gets converted into FAD and the 2 electron goes into complex 2. From complex 2 it goes to coenzyme Q. Okay, now in this reaction there is no proton pumping. Okay, in case of NADH there was proton pumping when it was complex 1 here, but in case of FADH2 there is complex 2 and there is no proton pumping, and from complex 2 the electron goes to coenzyme Q, and from coenzyme Q it goes to complex 3, and from complex 3 it goes to cytochrome C. Now in this transfer there is proton pumping and 4 protons are pumped from the mitochondrial matrix to the intermembrane space. Okay, this is happening in case of complex 3. And then from complex 3 the 2 electron goes to complex 4 through cytochrome C, and 2 electrons then reduces oxygen, and then there is formation of water molecule, and in this process also there is proton pumping, but there is proton pumping of 2 protons, not 4 protons. Okay, in case of NADH it was also 2 protons. I wrote there 4 protons, but it was 2 protons. So complex 4 is transporting 4 protons. Okay. So this FADH2 is kind of responsible, as you can see, for the transport of 6 protons. And the NADH was responsible for the transport of 10 protons. So that's all. Thank you.